Tennessee, America's 36th largest state, known as the volunteer state, and the 17th one I've visited so far as a Brit living in America. We have loved it. We have loved seeing the fall leaves. They were truly beautiful, and some glimpses of spectacular scenery despite the low cloud and rainy weather. What I would say though, driving here is not for the faint-hearted. With large drops, no barriers, steep inclines, our little car was tested on a couple of occasions, and so was I. But Tennessee, in fact, is the state where I learned that a trip to an 11-mile scenic route actually takes close to 5 hours to complete. And I should add, this scenic route is in the car. Very little walking was involved. So if you're new here, hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Emma, and this is where we compare life between the UK and the US, and where my family and I are on a mission to visit all 50 states, discovering a lot of history along the way. If you're already subscribed, you've probably noticed that I'm not in my usual setup. That's because we've officially started our 2-week road trip, and I'm currently filming from a hotel room in Alabama, so state number 18. We arrived late last night after spending the day in Tennessee, where unfortunately we didn't get to see everything we planned, since that scenic route turned into a 5-hour detour. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through what we did manage to see and what we missed out on. So for those of you who have been to Tennessee, specifically to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, which is where we're staying, you will know it's very commercialized, which I found strange for a place of such natural beauty. However, I do think that there is a nice balance here to attract tourists of all ages and interests, which is great for us with having a 3-year-old. Fun fact, Tennessee has more caves than any other state in the US, with over 10,000 documented. We didn't actually see any caves, I just find that really interesting. Instead of caves, we decided to first walk the trail called the Sugarlands Valley Nature Trail, which was enough to entertain our 3-year-old on a very wet, cold Tennessee afternoon. It's just half a mile long, fully paved, and one of the only fully accessible trails in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which makes it perfect to see some incredible sights on foot with a toddler. It's a peaceful, flat walk that follows the West Prong Little Pigeon River with benches and wooden bridges along the way. What makes it even more special is its history. Tucked between the trees, you'll find old stone chimneys and fences, the last remains of the original Sugarlands settlement that existed before the national park was created. It's quiet, beautiful, and the perfect first taste of the Smokies when you don't have much time. Now, before we get to the 11-mile mishap, I'm going to show you what we wanted to do from the recommendations that were kindly left for me in the comments. And if you're planning a visit to Tennessee, you might actually pick up a few ideas from my slightly failed itinerary. So, out of all of the amazing recommendations we received, which I am so grateful for, more than anything, we wanted to visit the Manhattan Project National Historical Park, which parts of were actually unfortunately closed. But if you watch my video on our visit to the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, I showed you and talked about the plane that dropped one of the atomic bombs that was a key factor in Japan's surrender, which ended World War II. Now, 2 atomic bombs were responsible, the little boy and the fat man. These bombs would not have happened without the Manhattan Project, so of course I wanted to visit one of the sites. The Tennessee facility was part of a top secret US government program during World War II that focused on developing the world's first atomic bomb. It was led by the US Army and brought together thousands of scientists, engineers, and military personnel. A lot of the work happened at 3 main sites: Hanford, Washington for plutonium production. The Fat Man bomb was a plutonium bomb. New Mexico for the design and the construction of the atomic bombs. But Oak Ridge in Tennessee was where they produced the enriched uranium, which was used in the Little Boy atomic bomb, the one that was dropped on Hiroshima. So in August 1945, the atomic bombs created and developed at these sites marked the end of the war and the beginning of the nuclear age. And the Manhattan Project site in Oak Ridge isn't just one museum. It's actually a collection of different places and different experiences spread across the entire town. You start at the park's visitor center, which is inside the Children's Museum of Oak Ridge, and this is where the rangers give an overview of the site and of its history. From there, you can explore other museums like the American Museum of Science and Energy, which dives deeper into the science and the technology behind the Manhattan Project. If you want to see the original facilities, there are guided bus tours that take you onto Department of Energy property to visit historic buildings and to really get a feel for it all, but those do need to be booked in advance and unfortunately were closed this time around. But there are also ranger programs and exhibits around Oak Ridge that help tell the story of how this once secret city helped create the world's first atomic bomb. But going back to what we actually did, which was still a great experience, but if I could go back in time, honestly, I wouldn't have done it. We went to Cades Cove, which was a great insight into the early settlers in the Great Smokies. We planned a quick stop here. It's a scenic valley surrounded by the Great Smoky Mountains, known for its old pioneer cabins, churches, and the chance to spot wildlife, including white-tailed deer, black bears, turkeys, and sometimes coyotes. The story of its change through Native Americans, early pioneers through to the Civil War, and ultimately the loss of those pioneer communities when the area was converted to a national park was very interesting, albeit controversial at the time. But we thought we'd take a quick scenic drive, just a relaxing loop through nature. Well, 5 hours, one toddler meltdown, and half a tank of gas later, we'd seen more brake lights than bears, but we did see wild horses running through the fields, which was incredible for Isabel to see, and it did keep her entertained. The loop itself is only 11 miles long, with several opportunities to get out and visit different ruins and artifacts, but getting in and out took hours because of the heavy traffic. Even our quick stop at the visitor centre, just to use the restrooms, turned into over half an hour. So we planned to explore the historical buildings and maybe hike a short trail, but between the traffic and the long waits, we didn't manage to see as much as we'd hoped. Due to the adverse weather and low cloud, we also missed out on the opportunity to visit the Lookout Mountain near Chattanooga. My husband was especially interested in visiting the battlefield above the clouds and the military park. So it's safe to say we will be coming back to Tennessee. Hopefully here in Alabama, we'll manage to do everything we've planned. It's very wet and cold out there, but I'm still hoping we're going to get everything squeezed in. But thank you so much for watching. Tennessee definitely taught us a few lessons on road trip time management. It might not have gone exactly to plan, but it was still a beautiful place to explore and definitely somewhere we have to come back to. And don't get me wrong, Cades Cove was stunning, but I don't like spending that long in the car, especially with a toddler. So early in the morning, definitely if you're going to do that. So I'm off to see what Alabama has in store next, but for now, I'm just really glad we got to experience a bit of Tennessee, even if it didn't go to plan. And I'd like to give a big thank you to my channel members. Your support really, really means a lot to me.